The camera does not seem to be switching on, but that's okay. You don't have to see me. You have to hear me. That's it.
Yes, Sri. I think that's fine as long as the message goes across. Is Virgil
Yep.
there? Virgil, are you there? Okay, we can't hear Virgil. Anyway, okay, so let me get started. Let me start going. Thank you very much to everybody. Thank you again, and we do apologize for the technical error that we were facing last week. And rest assured that today everything will go on smoothly. Again, thank you very much for joining in the session again. Let us go through this session without any hassle. Again, I'd like to pass on the floor to Mr. Sri, the global manager for Bentley Education, to start his presentation. If you have any questions, do post it on the chat box. We will try to accommodate as we move along. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Kutul Sriram.
Thank you. Thank you, Narayan. Appreciate that. And as Narayan mentioned, apologies for the technical error. The Murphy law says that it should happen. There will always be a problem when there shouldn't be a problem. But anyway, let me share the screen and start my presentation. Can you all see my screen? Narayan?
Yes, Sri. We can see it clearly.
Good, beautiful. Yep. Good. Sorry, my camera doesn't seem to be switching on. I don't know. I had more than half a dozen meeting today, and all the time the camera was working on. And now I think my computer doesn't seem to be a good friend of Zoom after all. So anyway, thank you all for your time again. And I can see about 58 people on the line there. Appreciate that. And it looks like again all across Australia. So the objective is it in a presentation board, Narayan?
Yes, Sri. Not yet, not yet. It's not in a presentation mode.
Good. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
now it is.
Now,
Okay, good.
now,
Yes,
beautiful. Thank you. And the audio is good.
very good.
Beautiful.
Very good.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. I think I'll straight jump into the topic. The idea is that is about thanks to CPSC for giving us an opportunity. This is about decoding and learning in digital engineering world. Uh, very specifically talking about the career opportunities in a digital infrastructure world, and then about what if we are talking about career opportunity, we are talking about students. Then we need to also talk about what are the teaching opportunities, what are the learning opportunities that are available. So this it's all about that topic. So let me straight jump into the topic here. So the first one is that I'm starting with a small story. Come along with me on the story. You see a wooden wheel here. Are you all aware that the first ever wooden wheel was invented in 6th century BC? There is a storyline coming along with that, and then please come along with me. And then after there you see a leather suitcase here. Leather suitcase helped us to the wooden wheel helped us to be very efficient to move things around. Otherwise, until then, people were physically carrying it across, and then the leather suitcase helped us inside. And the leather suitcase was invented in 1910, 1917. But then the productivity improvement happened on when somebody innovated where the wheel could be put onto the leather suitcase and became a stroller, automatic stroller, so that this actually brought in an easy. Now I think nobody today travels without a stroller. So why am I talking about this story now? Because I'm talking about digitalization infrastructure industry. So I'm going to take you through a small story now. There is something called a CAD and then a BIM and a digital twin. If you are from the infrastructure industry, you will very much understand what I'm talking about. Before the CAD, possibly in early 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s, people used to work do their designs on a sheet of paper. You remember this large drawing board, and then people had vector scales working on. So to build a road like this, they had to do at least about 200, 300 drawings. And then there came the computer-aided designing tool. The computer-aided designing tool tremendously helped everybody about using everything on a computer. So what was the advantage? Papers were gone. Multiple drawing could be done in one place, and then multiple people could be working on the same design. For an example, if you're building a house, a bricklayer could be working on the same design, on the same, and the same piece of design, and then your air conditioning man could be working on that, electrical man could be working on that. So computer-aided designing also brought in mobility and easier to access and storage. Imagine if you had about 200, 300 sheets of paper with a drawing, taking it across to a client, and then showing it across to him is very, very complex. Whereas the mobility the CAD brought across was extensively useful, right? The CAD was definitely a revolution in designing, be it a manufacturing, be it a infrastructure industry. From the CAD came, if your people are in the construction industry, you'll understand a word called building information modeling, BIM. So what's the difference between CAD and BIM? Did not have a data. BIM had data. BIM talked about what is the design data, what is the electrical item data. So, but then they were not real-time data. They were, for an example, when somebody handed over a BIM data to my about a house I built about 8 years ago, that data was 8-year old, and then it is not updated on what is the electrical standard, what is the ISO standard, what happened onto that. So that's where the digital twin came across. So what I'm talking about digital twin is CAD gave you a 2D, 3D design document. From there, the BIM came across where it called digital engineering. So it actually gave you a 2D, 3D plus the data that was needed on. But what was the biggest revolution is the digital twin. Digital twin very, very strongly not alone gave you the design 2D, 3D, it also gave you a live data. So I could do my design using a lot of insight into that. Imagine if I have a live data on if I'm building a road, and then if I have a live
Recording
data
in
about the traffic
progress.
that goes on, I can even simulate 5 years down the line when the traffic increases. How will the road design do? We will look at it. How would it look like? So my design I could do with live data, do a lot of insight, looking forward to the time. So that's the revolution the digital twin had. So what is the relevance of it in this industry today, in this conversation today, is about most of the organization today are digitally driven organization or project. If you look at top 10 construction organization, a contractor, or top 10 government organization, which owns this project, they're all completely digitally driven organization or project. So if you do not have students who are digitally trained on, or they do not understand the digital process in the infrastructure industry. So if we do not have a training pedagogy, training methodology which are digitally driven, we are losing out into the market. So I'm talking so much about digitalization, and then why is digitalization important? I will jump to the next scale. If you look at it, don't worry about the 2014 because I believe that data is even now currently right for that. So there is data of performance of three industries that are taken here, right? So the industry one, the top one is the manufacturing industry, right? And the bottom one is the infrastructure industry. So if you look at it, the productivity, per capita productivity in the infrastructure industry is one of the lowest. The analysis why it is the lowest is on two bases. One, infrastructure industry is not completely digitally driven yet. And second is infrastructure industry also has multiple stages of life cycle. If you look at a car, they build a car and then possibly retire the car in the sense a new model comes in within 8 or 9 years. So every 9 years, so the life of the car is only about 9 or 10 years. But the road what you took to come to your office, the road what you take to go to the market today, the bridges you cross, the airport you take to travel, or possibly started even before we were born, and then it will go even beyond our time. So the life cycle of infrastructure industry is too large. And then if you are not digitally driven on that, if you don't have digital data, then you lose out. That's why the productivity, per capita productivity goes down. That's not the only data. So one of the reason why compelling reason for digitalization digitalization is important, infrastructure industry for capital productivity. But then when you go from there, I compare it. Are you aware that the infrastructure industry, what I'm talking about today, has the highest amount of money spent per GDP, that is gross domestic product? That means government spends in every country, government spends the highest amount of money from their budget on building a road, building an airport, building a bridge, building a hospital, building a stadium. So they are the highest spender. That is, the highest money is spent on GDP on the construction related spending. But then they have the lowest productivity. They only give you 1% for the past 20 years. So that means they spend more on it, but get lesser onto that. If you even increase this 1% to additional 1%, there's an amount of money, 1.6 trillion, that could be saved on. Is it not a compelling story why infrastructure industry should be digitalized and should be a digital twin? But I won't stop there. I will go into the next story as well. He's saying that digital twins, why are the other industries so productive? Why are the other industries so prosperous? And why? Because I will show you digital twin, how it is used in the other industries. The reason I'm talking about digital twin here, the reason I'm talking about digitalization is that I'm going to in the somewhere down the line in my presentation, I am going to tie it up with digitalization related learning opportunities, digitalization related teaching opportunities. What are the learning pedagogy? I'm not going to dive deeper into what could be the learning method. It is going to be a lecture based, or it could be hands-on based, project based, and what could be the curriculum. I'm not going to dive into it because I need half a day for that. But then this is only a teaser to show you, or an introduction to show you, in the digital world, what could be the pedagogy opportunity that could come across. An organization like Bentley can work in partnership with CPSC and all your organization to find out how do we make this learning easier to you by creating curriculum, by providing tool, by creating project experience. So that's the idea. So right now, I'm on a story of saying that why digital twin is important, how digital twin has made a big difference in the other industries, and how does the digital twin can be taught across. So now, digital twin in other industries, why are they productive? You saw the manufacturing industry; they are one of the toppest per productivity. Let me take an example here. This is the automotive industry, which is manufacturing or motor car race industry. Red Bull is one of my most favorite team. So are you aware the people who are designing the car making up to 1,000 changes per week between races? Every week there is a race. So they have so much of data that is coming in. They use that data to modify the design of an existing car. They don't do it on a physical car. What you see here, they create a digital model of it to find out how is the engine heating up, what is the traction of the wheel, what is the aerodynamics of it, and what is the weight bearing of the seat. So many other data that could be done across. So that is done on a digital model, not on a physical model, because within a week you can't do a physical changes on the car because they have to go into the race, the next race, right? So and then not alone that, in a race, if you have looked at the pit stop, what they call it, the control room or a pit stop, there'll be young kids sitting down with a lot of computers and working on. What do they do? From the car, there are sensors that are available. Those sensors send data into the computer. What is the kind of data collection? Microseconds, in every fraction of a second, there's a whole load of data that is coming into that. And they use that data, what I talked about, digital twin live data, because these are not historical data, it is coming live from the car. They use that data from the sensor to find out what is the temperature of the car. Can it take that heat? Because the race in Dubai and race in Delhi are different from possibly race in England during winter, because the temperature varies on. So you need to adapt according to that. So the temperatures, what are the pressure, and so that amount of changes are done on a digital model. How they so the digital twin in the car industry actually helps them to make a safer and more reliable, high performing car. This is one industry. right? So I'll go into the next one. This is NASA, the spacecraft.
अच्छा पींदी ना है ये पहले का हेतरी मत दे
Sri, we can't hear you, Sri. Can you please unmute? Sri, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Sri, finally you're back. You got muted just now. Now we can hear you. Yep.
Yeah, but why does suddenly, how does it get muted? I didn't go into
I
unmuting.
don't know.
I don't know why it went into muting.
I mean, we
Anyway,
didn't lose too much. I think the last we heard
I'll
was
go back
about
and
the
go into the
sensors of
presentation mode.
F1 and
Sorry.
all. Yep. No worries, no worries.
Okay. Okay. Naren, use the team to tell me how the
Sure,
okay.
sure, sure.
Yep. Go on. So it is gone now. Mode again. Sorry. The spacecraft industry. If you look at it now, this spacecraft, what I have it on the screen now, it is to build and design it cost you multiple $1 billion, and you cannot have an error on this at all. You cannot have a failure at all. So you have to design it so perfectly well. Plus, when you launch it, you need to operate it as well. So one of the best way NASA's and the other spacecraft industry does the designing is doing a digital model of the whole thing. I'm given to understand that even before they bend the first sheet metal or first plastic material or aluminum material to make a spacecraft, a digital, completely workable digital model of NASA or the spacecraft is really designed and ready, completely ready. So that's another industry which extensively uses digital twin. And then I'm going into the aircraft, aerospace, from aerospace industry to aircraft industry. Are you aware that the Boeings and Airbuses, as I said before, even before they bend the first sheet metal, there's a digital model of it is created, which talks about how the engine works, how the acceleration works, how the heating works on, how every part of it could be digitally designed, and that not alone that the designing is good, they can also use a digital model to train the pilots onto that, train the people who mechanics who are repairing that on that. So now, what is the crux of the story? That is every industry is extensively using digital model, so digital twin. So let me come to what is the digital twin being used in the construction industry for which I'm talking about here. A digital twin could be used in a construction industry very strongly to collect energy consumption. Imagine there is a huge airport or a stadium, and you want to know which part of it is where the air condition has to be more because there are more people sitting inside, or which part the power consumption has to be. So a digital model can help you to optimize the energy consumption, because if some part of the airport, some part of the stadium is lesser occupied with people, you can automatically tune off the switch off the power there. Then in a rail industry, imagine the rail tracks runs kilometers. So if you want to monitor the track wear and tear, you don't have to really run through the whole track. A digital model can help you. I'll show you how it. There is a video that there's a presentation I have that'll actually talk about how it can be done. So wait for my presentation in the down the line. And then in the wind turbine industry, you can use a digital model to design a wind turbine extensively so well. And then in the roads, where, in particularly very highly populated Asian places, when you design the road, you can simulate the whole traffic that goes across. Again, wait for a video. I'll show you a slide, a presentation how a simulation of a traffic could be done, where I would clearly know at 9 o'clock in the morning peak hour what is the traffic here, at 12 o'clock what is the traffic here, so that when I do a design, and if the traffic is this for in 2022 or 21, it is so much. 5 years down the line, assuming there is going to be a growth in population, particular percentage, what will be the traffic? Can the design, can the road take it across? I don't have to build that across. I can actually do a simulation with the data that is available to design my road accordingly. So in the road, a digital twin really helps you across. So and then in the any urban city or any small town, you need utilities planning in the form of power, water. So you can actually digitally design a power, which is underground, the water pipes and the power cables that could be designed on in a digital model, so that you also know digitally where before you dig the earth, where the pipelines are, where the electrical power supply are. So these are certain ways. And in all these places, imagine if you are possibly talking about a road design as a curriculum, you could bring in a tremendous amount of learning pedagogy. I will jump into that about how do I use digitalization, how do I do simulation, what is the simulation process a student can learn, and if they learn, if they are taught that, they would be absolutely job ready for that. If you are passing it, possibly there could be a consumption. There could be a course on energy consumption. There could be a learning opportunity on energy consumption in a larger building, public building. If that could be taught to the student, and they would be job ready to go back on energy efficiency, energy consumption, and sustenance. Same way the wind turbine. So, if you related all of this digitalization to learning pedagogy, imagine the opportunities that can be available for teaching and available for student to learn. So I talk so much about digitalization. So let me explain what is the digital twin. These are digital twin is nothing but a continuous digital representation of a physical asset. A simple way to explain that is, if you have a mobile phone, if you take a picture of yourself and look at the picture, that's a digital twin of you. You are the physical one because you are living in blood and skin, but the digital picture that is available is a digital twin of yours, because that could be sent across as a proof of identity for you. You don't have to go there. So that's exactly what a digital twin. But the only difference between that photo and an actual digital twin is digital twin is a continuous representation. If you take a picture now, 5 years later, that picture is not a digital twin of yours, because 5 years I would have had some changes in your hairstyle, changes in your skin colors, changes in whatever. So 5 years has an effect on every human body. So digital twin is a digital representation of a physical asset, but they are a continuous one. So that means data has to be really connected. If I have to relate it to a building, say, if you have a digital model of your house, and then the data keeps coming in every year, if your outer wall color is fading, and if you know if the picture that exactly captures that color fading of the outer wall, you exactly know your digital model showing you what the house is. You can make a decision about when do I paint it, what do I do it. So that's exactly what the digital twin is all about. So and when I go from a digital twin, so I don't know whether you can hear the audio here, but this is a quick talk. I think I'll skip that video because if the audio is a problem, I'm going to directly talk about these are certain digital twin project in construction industry. See, imagine this is. I will also connect it to the pedagogy here. This is simulating a logistic of a bridge being built across. If I if your student can actually use a digital model to find out when do I need a crane and when do I need a crane operator and when do I need a truck driver to bring those components. Plus, when the crane is operating, what are the areas I have to cover up for safety? And then if you could be a training manager, you could show the set of engineers about how it is. So this could be a part of learning as a pedagogy, right? And this is a planning. Suppose a construction planning engineer or construction planning, supervisor, he can actually use a digital model to do a planning of there is a game that is coming on. So when do I build a bridge? So, and then this is what I talk about immersive what exactly I talked about. So where a person can exactly know without sitting onto the lift and then operate, crane and operating it and digitally operate, digitally get a training on how to move. So this is a digital model is a very, very immersive learning tool that is valuable. So this just a quick example I showed you onto this. So let me now jump into this is an actual live digital twin of a building in Singapore, Fraser Tower. This is actually a building of Microsoft or Microsoft Office. How a digital twin helps you to do a energy consumption pattern. So I'll, I'll see on the floor 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have taken the one of the floor and digital because of the digital model I was able to do a cross section, find what is the power consumption, find out what is the level of occupation. So this is exactly a digital representation of a building in the same, even geo position exactly where what are the next buildings that are available there. So this is a digital twin model. So I hope you can all hear me. Oh, so how does a digital twin work on? I will show you where a rail track that is put on together, how a digital twin can add on much more context to it. Here we go. Yep, yep, it's coming on now. See, this is actually a rail track. Over attraction data is taken across and see over attraction coming on. Onto this, we immerse the actual location physical. You exactly see the video of how the station is, how the overhead bridge is. This is actually a digital twin with a context of where the location is, what time it is. So if a learning pedagogy for infrastructure students could be brought across using this kind of digital model, you could be an electrical engineer, you could be a civil engineer, you could be a mechanical engineer. That's one of the reasons why I brought this across. So the other digital model I'm going to show you is a construction progress where if you the video that is going to come across, you will see the scale moving there. See, this is the construction progress of an existing building. Uh, I will move to it now. See, this is actually a building. Look at the bottom of the screen. June, July, August. It keeps moving across September. So the digital model can help you to move forward. If you're in September 2018 and you want to see February 29, how will my building look and what will be the what are the things that are I need for the building to go across. A digital model construction program gives you exactly that picture. Actually, a good digital twin is like a time machine where you can move forward in time, you can move backward in time. This is if people have visited London, this is actually a building that came up in London real time. The digital model is exact representation of what the building is with all the neighboring building. So using this construction model, when there is a crane that is working on here, I need to block the road for traffic. I can even plan the traffic plan. Imagine all of this could be brought into a curriculum as a learning methodology, which Bentley has done it with, more 20 to 25 universities across 20 to 25 VET courses across Australia, New Zealand, and Asia. That is what we are trying to expose to you now. So we talked about how digital twin is useful to you and what are the benefits of that. Now I will straight jump into the next process of what are the different life stages and how a digital twin can help you out. And this is where we are going to dive deeper into what is the learning pedagogy. If you look at a construction, there are 5 stages in the life cycle of the construction infrastructure industry. To relate it to you, let me relate it to a building. If you built a house, if you ever built a house, you first get into a plan stage of where do I build a house, what is the cost, when do I start it, what is the land that is available, how do I clear the land, and who is going to be the bricklayer, who is going to be the, concrete, and so that's the planning stage, right? And then from the planning stage, I talked about a house as a small project, but imagine if you're building an airport. Imagine you're building a whole metro rail or a huge rail. The amount of planning that is needed because of the size of the project. That's the first stage. The moment planning is done, then you know which land is, how do we do it, and what's the cost, how do I go across, who the contractor, all those planning is done. Then the design stage comes across, where a digital design of the whole project, where let's say in the house you build a house and then you do certain analysis saying that that building, when it rains very heavily, can the soil underneath, can it take it across? That's the analysis stage. So from a design you do an analysis to find out whether that building can stand in the soil, can it stand the weather, and and then what happens if there is a, imagine a rail track. I can include a lot more into that. One is the wear and tear, second is about when do I maintain it, third about the number of traffic that can go across in a road. So from a design you do a lot of analysis, and then analysis tells you you have to change the design. You go back and change the design, and then come back and analyze. So from a design to analysis, and then you get a final design. From there you go into construction. That's where the contractors start coming in, the construction progress goes on, so you keep maintaining. So this is the construction page where you need to plan your supply chain, people who are coming in, the contractors coming in, equipment coming in, workers coming in, and then construction progress. So you have to deliver in time and deliver in cost. That's the fourth stage. When the all the construction is done, your house is ready built, they hand it over to the owner, that is you. In the case of railway, in the case of road, they hand it over to the owner, which is the government. So the government then takes over to maintain the road, the operation part of it. So how do I maintain it? How do I get the best money out of that? So, that's the next stage. So in these five stages, what are the careers and what are the learning pedagogies that are available will be the next slide. So if you look at all the five stages, in your planning stage, I'm right now talking about not just building a house. I'm talking about the money is in the larger project, right? I'm talking about huge project where sites are where looking at railway, we're running about say 100 kilometers. So 100 kilometers of site has to be surveyed. So site surveyor who can do digitally. I'm going to show you showing that what is the difference between you know the traditional way of doing surveying and digital way of doing a surveying. Site surveyor. So if there could be a learning process of digital site surveying about using reality modeling tool, flying a drone to capture the picture. So that could be that could be a great learning pedagogy that Bentley system can help to build along with all your colleges. Then then the site survey is done, that you need to what is the size of the land, where there is rock and where there is clay. Then you need to do a site planning using soil analysis, and then the rock analysis. Again, there could be a learning for geotech people there. There is a tremendous amount of learning content that is available. That could be a pedagogy there. Then the site, if the sand is good, then a 3D person comes, a draft person who comes on planning a railway, creates a model in a 3D form for you to have a look at it. So that could be, how do I create a 3D design? How do I create a 2D design? How do I collaborate? That could be a learning pedagogy, right? So that's on the planning stage. From the planning stage, when I go into a design stage, so again, the same, there is an overlap here. A 3D design engineers, you don't do 2D anymore because you want to walk through the building. Today, a designing could be done where the owner operator could actually do a fly through and walk through as if in a digital model, as if he is walking in a physical building. Imagine your house is still, even the first brick is not laid, but a complete digital model is available. You are able to walk through to your kitchen and see how the kitchen looks, walk through to your reading room. And so that's what I'm talking about. 3D designing with animation. Lot of learning content could be done on how the designing is done, how the animation is done. And then there are opportunities for architects. It could be a building architect, if it is possibly offshore platforms or ships being built, a naval architect. there are tremendous amount of learning content and pedagogy available as a because they are the architects are the one who design the building, design the airport, design the stadium, design the ships. So and or electrical substations. So from there, then the designing is done. Then the BIM managers who actually do the building information modeling. So you have the design. So who are the contractors, what are the equipment, when do I need it? So that kind of BIM manager, planning and scheduling, there is a pedagogy available. Then if you go, I talked about utilities. I'm taking completely different line where hydrologists, people who could be working on water supply or wastewater analysis, there are tremendous amount of quick courses on pedagogy that are available. Same for the electrical, how to, electrical contractors, electrical laying, and same for the, what do you call air conditioning and those people. So in the design stage, there are more than 6 or 7 learning opportunities, pedagogy and learn content that could be built across just using a digital technology. In the analysis stage now, when you build a building, you need to see how structurally good it is. So a structural engineer, so they can do a structural analysis in the form of concrete building, steel building, wooden structure. So there is a learning content that is available. Then the analysis, because we talked about soil analysis, so geotechnical engineering. So they could possibly about soil analysis. Those could be an analysis pedagogy that could be built on. Then, when you're building a road, transport engineer to find out in this road what could be the traffic at 9 o'clock. How do I plan the traffic? When those kind of pedagogy could be put across. Same way for the hydro engineer. Analysis done from analysis, you go into construction. This is a very very profitable and money earning place because construction is a very critical process. That too in pandemic, people restriction on how many people can go on to. So digitalization, working on a digital data becomes important. So these are the learning content where site operation manager who could take care of it, when does the equipment come, when does the supplier come, and all those kind of things. And site safety manager today, that is becoming very important, saying that including the pandemic safety. So that could be a learning pedagogy. A construction manager who takes care of when schedule of the construction, cost of the construction, and then a construction cost manager. Construction is done. From there, it is handed over to the operator. That is the operation side. If you look at it, facility man engineer who maintains every air conditioner, every power supply. Then asset maintenance, if it is a larger factory, a larger airport, who takes care of it. There are learning pedagogy available. Operation manager who takes care of how do I operate at a lowest cost, how do I reduce the power consumption, how do I reduce the wear and tear. So and then you know uh, retrofit engineers, if you look at it, where the building where over a period of time there are new technologies coming on, so how do I go and retrofit it. So these are certain learning content that are available, and this is safety and then operation training. So digitally, for a whole set of infrastructure, whole set of learning content that are available. So much. Am I making sense? Right?
Yes, Ray.
Yeah.
Perfectly good.
Good. Thank you. So I now let me take one by one and show you certain digital application, and then we jump into the pedagogy. I'm taking right now the planning part of it. So when you get into the planning part of it, let's see. See, I talked about site survey. Imagine, look at the video. I'll come back to you or talk to you. This is a survey of huge piece of land, right? Then he flies a drone, captures the data, and then the data is put into a digital model. And this is actually a digital twin of the whole land there. In that, you can even digitally find out when does the bridge come in, and then what is the structure of the bridge, and then this is actually a digital model of a land available for a mining industry. Right? Look at the size of the land, and then you could use the data to find out where the land is high. See, this is a measured of that. Your students could be trained to use this tool. How do I land is up and down? How do I fill it? Where do I cut it? So imagine in earlier days, I will possibly read on it so that you will relate it to that. Imagine in earlier days, people used to walk around the whole land with a tape in their hand, and with the digital technology that has come in, we don't do that at all. We only fly the drone, capture the picture, and then go to your desk. You're not even in the site, and this guy is sitting on the in his office desk working. How do I train a student? How do I train a professional future personnel to use this kind of technology to improve the industry, improve the so this is going to be a skill that's going to come across to measure such a large. It take weeks and months to get the results using a traditional right. This is like digital weighing across radio you get there are multiple technologies that are used on. We could create a learning pedagogy for all of the end of learning. This was nothing was there. Here there is a whole building that's available. This is a city in USA, Philadelphia. So where existing city urban planning, urban planner, how does
Sri, excuse me, Sri. Sri, I think the
he
audio
use
is
the model?
affecting
Look at it.
the
He
video is affecting
identify
your audio, Sri.
historical building in that so that he has to maintain the historical building the traditional way. Right? And then for other planning, yep, sorry,
I think the video is affecting your audio. So when you start playing the
hello,
video, your audio is
Naren,
distorted. Yeah, can you hear me?
you can even identify the video is not working
No, the video is working, but when you start playing the video, your
now.
audio gets distorted.
Okay, so it's not my bandwidth anymore because I'm working from office and Wi-Fi. I think in the Zoom. So okay, I'll try to reduce my talking. Let the video go, then I'll that possibly makes a sense. So that's the planning part of it. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear
All
you.
right. Okay.
Yes.
That's the planning part of it where I talked about a planning of a completely what do we call greenfield. There's no building there at all. To a good planning of an existing city, huge city, how planning and surveying using a digital tool and pedagogy could be used across. I wanted to re-emphasize again, saying that what are the learning opportunities that are available into that. So, and these learning content, I know I talked about learning opportunities, but then how do I start on? There are tremendous amount of learning content in the form of video, in the form of hands-on that are available from Bentley Education, which multiple universities use across, and we want to take it down to VET level. So I'll go into the next one, the design one, in the design process. So yeah, how digitalization can help on. So I'll start. I will stop talking when the video is running on because there seems to be a lag there. So look at that video. This is what I'm going to run now is about a road payment being designed where you need to have a specific amount of inclination for wheelchair people to go across. This designing is not done people going to that payment using a tape and measuring. Have a look at it. Have a look at it now. This is a digital model. Go on. Now let it go on. If you notice that a digital map is used to measure exactly accurately to find out whether the slope is ready, whether the slope can be designed. This is done sitting in the office, completely sitting in the office to the level of. This is a tool called Orbit, and then it does an analysis to tell you whether the slope is perfect, whether it is approved on. Okay, okay. What you saw and possibly if there is a lag, I will explain. What you saw in this digital model is that somebody had to design a slope in a pavement in a designing stage. The upper part of the picture is the digital model taken using a tool called Orbit, which is a Bentley tool. This is a design tool for roads and pavements, and then he actually takes a drone picture of the platform and then loads it onto orbit and sits in the office and designs the slope that is needed in a 20 or 30 kilometers long pavement. Imagine there are 200 slopes. People have to go there to measure. It's going to take a lot of time. This is exactly what we call creating a digital twin to create a productivity. That slope what you've designed across, the tool can analyze and tell you ADA is one of the approving body, like a public body, which says yep, it is as per the ADA compliant, so that wheelchairs can go across. So this is one design. The next slide I'm going to talk about is the bridge design, where in my part of the world, in Melbourne City, where I live in the last year, there were more than 14 accidents of truck trying to go onto the bridge, and the clearance was not good enough, so that the truck damaged the bridge. How you can actually design the road using a digital bridge, sorry, with a digital model without going there is the next video. Have a look at it. That's a digital video picture. And then he's measuring the road underneath the bridge. That's the area which he has to measure on. And then now he's measuring the height of that, finding out whether the clearance is good. Otherwise, he will possibly make a slope onto the road. So this is actually a digital model, a digital design of a road under the bridge so that the clearance is put across. There are two ways to look at it. Either he knows exactly what the clearance is so that he can put a notification much ahead of the road saying that trucks beyond this height do not travel, or he can go back and redesign the road and create a slope there. It's all about digitalization, digital model, and this data will be available permanently stored. So anytime in 4 years from now, if people want to look at it, then go back and find out what each of the bridge clearance is all about. So that's what I call the digital twin in designing. So this is actually a designing, and this is an important video. Have a look at it. This is where I talk about traffic. Okay, this is a designing a railway station where multiple version controls are done. Industry keeps changing. How do I maintain it digitally instead of physically binding it on a piece of paper? Version 12 and version 8. That means version 8 was done 5 months ago. Then somebody said, no, no, the what call the understanding needs to be a little wider so that it automatically increment to that. But I think more interesting video would be is you can even do a heat map using a digital model of that build to find out at peak hour what would be the when there are more people there, what is the kind of heat that is generated. So and then if because of the changes, can there be more air ventilation coming across? So design that could be done across, which is again a digital model. I'm going back again to connect it to pedagogy. All these skills can be incorporated to your VET students as a process of learning so that when the industry looks for this kind of skilled people tomorrow, they are ready and available, right? Um, I, I think I will go to the next one rather than diving deeper into this. I'm conscious of time. So I from the design, the design stage, these are the architect, what we talked about. These are the career opportunities and these are the learning pedagogy that could be available. Let's go into analysis one, which is an interesting one where I talked about traffic analysis. So I'm going to go into the analysis part of it. Now, I'm going to show you this is the station. Have a look at this video. This is an actual digital model of a railway station, subway station in in London, and how a digital model can help them to identify how the pedestrian traffic will be at every time every time a train arrives, and is the gates per clearance is good enough, or how much of banking seats. This is what is a digital simulation of people coming in, and this data is collected from the camera on the top. The CCTV camera, and then put across how many people are coming in, and you can actually do a complete simulation of pedestrian traffic to find out if there is a better planning. This kind of clogging of people may not happen on. So digitally you could plan that, and I'll show you how a digitally planned station, the pedestrian traffic works on. Have a look at this now. You will get to see that now. Sorry, sorry. I'll go back one. I skipped a slide. Yep. Yeah. This is the now multiple stations, and then the boom gates. How you can at every hour at 4 o'clock. What is the level of traffic that goes on? Imagine those. The gates that are open there. Is there a traffic that is working on there? How is the So this is typically doing an analysis of an existing design to find out will it hold the current number of pedestrians coming in, and then you can even do a simulation tomorrow of saying 5 years from now increase, if there is going to be 5% increase in number of people traveling on 5 years, 20% more, will the train and then people are dropped off. That's what is shown there. Can it do it? Is what is so this is a skill by itself. An analysis skill with there are tools that are available, solutions that are available in Bentley that could be a part of a learning curriculum to your vet students to do traffic planning analysis. So not just traffic planning alone, pedestrian planning. Here. The next one, if you look at it, this is a stadium after the game. How how long it takes for the people to clear the stadium? The number of exits, if you count it. So if I increase the number of exit, will it work on? Or assuming that there are only half of the population, can I close the exit so that I can save power? And then imagine if there is an emergency, or and then people have to evacuate it quickly. How can I do it? This is actually a actual digital model of Barcelona Stadium in Spain, and on which the digital simulation is done. Imagine if you could teach this to your students easily because learning contents that are available. So this is about the analysis part of it, right? So and then what are the what are the multiple analysis learning pedagogy available? I only possibly check on transport modeling for, but then there are simulation engineer, but there are a lot more that could be done available on there in the form of soil analysis, in the form of structure of a building, in the form of power consumption. So I don't want to go into every one of it because it could be time consuming for you. So that's on the analysis part. Let me go into the construction part now. On the construction part, this is actually a digital model of a construction that is done. Let the video run on. Look at the calendar on the top. So on each day, every hour, what is the equipment that is needed, and what is the safety measure that has to be done. So this is a rehearsal for construction digitally done, so that a people in the planning process can work together to find out what kind of equipment I need, how do I, where does it come from, and what kind of maintenance I have to do, what kind of maintenance I have to do, what kind of management I need. This is kind of knowledge available instruction extensively used to prepare a report. And
Excuse me, Sri, we can't hear you.
these are
I think your
working
voice is
well. This is
distorted
supposed to
again
work.
due to video and audio at the same time. So I think you need to
This is
run
complete
the
digital rehearsal construction,
video first and
how to
then
made on
give
it.
a
So see what
explanation.
we're talking about. So this is can you Narayan, I know you wouldn't hear the audio, right? Of the
Yeah.
video. Did you hear the audio?
No.
Did you?
No, no.
Yeah. Okay. I'll skip that. Don't worry. No, no, no. So from the construction stage, the most important part of it. See, in the infrastructure industry, the planning, design, analysis, and construction. If you spend $100 on a whole project, the planning, design, analysis, construction only takes about $30. remaining $70 goes into operation because, as I told you, the life cycle of infrastructure is so long. It could possibly build a whole railway station. Planning, design, and analysis would take about, say, depending on countries, take about 4 or 5 years, let's say 7 years. But then the railway will operate for at least for 70 years. That's where the tremendous amount of money is spent on. And that is where every organization is looking for digitally enabled, digitally skilled resources to work on. What are the various digital learning pedagogy and the learning opportunity that exist in the operation side? Let's this is this is what we talked about. I will take you through one by one. So this is a great video, but then the audio is not working. So I will stop and try to get the audio. All right.
Okay, Sri. So every time when there's a audio, while you're speaking, and then when you play the video, it just gets distorted. We
Yeah,
can't
I'm
hear
trying
you.
to enable the audio.
Yep. Okay.
I'm trying to get the audio on. Yep. Yeah, now it should come on. All right.
Yep.
Hopefully.
I think yeah. And if you can just let the entire video play first, and then because when you speak in between, then the whole thing gets distorted.
I was I was reading through a magazine and saw a picture that was kind of grainy, black and white, and showed several men, bridge inspectors, on ropes hung over the side of a structure. So that picture had been taken in 2013. It looked like it was from the 1960s. We've got to be able to do better.
There are currently over 20,000 bridges in the state of Minnesota. It's important to keep on with the inspections so that we can properly maintain them over the course of their life and find out when the need is to replace them.
We started partnering with Bentley because both of us really wanted to use technology to improve the inspection workflow.
Most of those engineers don't go out in the field much, so it's hard to relay through close-up pictures and try to explain what I'm seeing.
We came to look at how Lens could get understanding of what's actually happening in the field without having to be there.
The HoloLens and the Azure Remote Rendering was a really unique way to sort of bring the bridge into the office to do the inspection.
Our company has been very, very involved in the idea of digital twins, of having computer models that replicate what's physically there in the field.
Images get right down to the cracks themselves. We can measure it, not just that detailed.
We have all this information at our fingertips that we never before.
If we could reduce the overall expense by 10%, that could be a humongous win. Now we're talking several times that in overall savings. The graphical processing, the stream has to be spot on with microtolerance to accurate rendering capabilities. Accurately, truly the
Sri, I think you're on mute, Sri. Are you there, Sri?
Yeah, I'm coming, Naren.
Yep. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Naren, can you hear me? Yep. I believe you can.
Yes, yes, yes.
If I share the audio, I share the audio of the video, I get muted. I don't know why. Okay, anyway, so what you all saw there is inspection of a bridge process. It is going into a what do you, give me a minute. Yeah, what you saw there is inspection of a bridge, and traditional way is people using harness and ropes to hang on the bridge and then find out where there is a crack and where there is a rusting, and then imagine the safety action a plus for a bridge like one bridge like this, how many people are needed to work on that, and imagine multiply that into number of bridges in a road, in a what he talked about in a state. So today the digital technology, you saw them taking the whole digital model of the bridge to their office, where they could actually put that digital model onto the working table of the office and then look at it and find out where the cracks are. So this by itself is a whole technology of asset inspection. Can you hear me, Narayan? Okay,
Yes.
asset inspection remotely, not just the road, not just the so it's a whole concept called, there are multiple learning pedagogy that are available. There could be one set of students who could only possibly create a digital model of that. You saw the drone flying. So there could be a learning about just capturing data. And there could be a second learning or second set of people where they use the data to create a digital model. There is a third pedagogy that could be that model where you could find out where the cracks are, where the rusting is, and do an asset management. And the fourth one is about someone who's in construction to find out about when do I plan to create, eliminate all those cracks and then repair all those rusting. So imagine all this pedagogy could be simply put across, and this is a whole set of learning tool. Why am I saying that learning tools are available, learning content is available? Because these are the learning content we provide to our customers. You saw those people who were sitting down talking about, we use this. How will they use it without we creating a learning content? Now, Bentley Education is opening up all those learning content, not just for our commercially paid customer, even for learners like you, teachers like you, and then the learning students at no cost at all. No capital cost, no cost at all. The tool will be provided, the learning content will be provided, and on holding will be provided, so that you create a set of well trained, well educated digital inspection, remote inspection, asset management, data capturing professionals. So what is in it for Bentley? Tomorrow, these are the people who will go to the market and start using digital concept rather than using the ropes and harness to, you know, hang out at the bridge. So I'll go to the next one where I'm talking about different. Sorry, hold on. Okay, I'm going to the next one. Yeah, this is again an inspection of a road. If you watch the video, where there are places on the road where there is a caving, what we call rutting, has been done. People are not going to those roads to inspect it. They are capturing a picture of that and then identifying how, where it is, what it is, exactly what location it is, even so that it even tells you using your geo map, that is Google Map or equivalent, tell you exactly where that rutting is, so that the repairman go exactly to that location rather than digging for 100 meters around. So I'll show you that when the video runs on, so that you get to understand. Ready for it now. And this is the road what he is measuring on to finding out the rutting. And he runs that using our digital software there, and then finds out he actually did where the rutting is at the bottom of the map. So to maintain the road, particularly the pavement in the road, where see the actual rutting, even stored there. So it's clearly identify and plan according to the level of damage that is done and they repair it, right? The next one is another interesting one. Every country has tremendous numbers of towers, or what do you call the signaling towers. people have to climb up to that to find where this thing is. Imagine if I can have a digital model using a drone, if I can take a picture of it to find out where the rusting is. And this is about little about machine learning. And but then I just want to give you an introduction of that. See, it clearly tells you with a digital model where the rusting is and what it is. So you can plan exactly what you need to take it there to repair it or move it across. So I can use the digital model to find out where there is deterioration of the metal. I can use the same digital model to find out what is the weight bearing it. Can I add one more antenna? Will the bear take it? I can use the same digital model to find out wind analysis, saying that if there is going to be a storm, can it withstand and how do I make it stronger? So multiple options that could be done, and just the simple operation of looking at it, looking at the maintenance of this, people don't have to climb it anymore. Use the use the technology of flying a drone, take a picture, and identify where the rusting is. And this again could be taught to and skilled to students. And imagine from your institution, if people are skilled on this and coming out, how popular your institution and how successful your institution would be. So I'm going into the next one where this is actually, if you look at the bottom of the screen, on the 2019, the level of rusting when compared to 2018, this is what you can see. The level of rust growth between 18 and 19. You can clearly see that. So this is what nobody climbed onto this, and then they used So this is one more way of doing an operation control or maintenance of an existing asset, right? So and then I'm going to the next one. This is a record. Stop it. Give me a minute. I will go again, and then because it's an important video, so I do this because of the technology. I don't know the Zoom. I'm going to share the audio so that you understand, and then I'll explain it to you again.
Tom, a bus shelter must be built at Runstaller Street 71 again.
Let me check it out. Yes, indeed, that's correct. To the a bus shelter mum on the side right before the zebra crossing.
Are there any possible obstacles that we have to keep in mind at this location? For example, to let a tow truck pass. And what's the height of the stretch there?
That is going to be okay. The tow truck will be able to pass underneath properly. But on that side, the sidewalk is reasonably narrow. There's also a parking lane, but I'm afraid that we still have to take a small piece of the road. Let me check the width of the road over there. Just as we thought. I think to provide a temporary detour anyway. Traffic much during rush hour.
What about traffic flow surrounding streets here?
I think if we redirect the traffic, we can avoid a lot of traffic jams.
Getting a clear picture of area without present location. It is possible thanks to 360 degrees image database, Flanders region.
Yep, I've kind of got an idea of how this works on. So I'll share again, share the screen now. That was actually a video of some sitting in the office trying to plan a bus shelter and what all the different ways he could use the digital model to hold on. What are the different ways he could use the digital model to plan it? And believe it, they were sitting in their office and working on. They were able to find out whether those street lights that were there or where a construction truck can come in. They measured it. Is a bus shelter is going to stop the traffic. They were able to work on to find out that's going to stop the traffic. Hold on, trying to presentation mode. So, and then okay, if I have to then block the traffic there because the bus shelter, what I'm building is going to protrude into the road. So I can even do what is the detour I can
Recording
plan it
stopped.
on. All of this could be done as a planner using digital technology, using Bentley technology altogether. So I'll go to the next slide. This is actually a flood modeling of a city, Paris city, where could you could plan how will the city look when there's a flooding. It's going on. This is the actual digital model of a city. So every building is exactly how it is. And this is the normal rainfall and the water goes across there. And if there is an increased rainfall, and where is the outlet, and then is there just one manhole enough, or do I have to, if there is an increase in rainfall, do I have to have more manholes? And then if I don't, what is the level of sort of flooding onto that? This is a digital picture of it. You will actually see a digital, I mean, this is a simulated picture, but you will actually see the digital picture of the whole city being flooded. See, those are the areas which are in danger. Imagine if we can create skill from your students to do this kind of. So the same one now using a digital model, digital tool with animations done by vet students in many part of it as a tool to do flood solution, plan, hydrology to find out who it is. So that's again an operation study. Naren, can you hear me?
See, we can hear you, but then due to the fact that the
Trying.
video is running and you're talking, you just can't go along. It just doesn't go along. You're distorted.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm almost there. So the operation where you saw multiple places how a digitalization can help you in that. So we talked all about this. Now let me go to the not this slide. Let me go to the next slide and then tell you about why are we talking about so much and why Bentley talking about creating a learning pedagogy so much on this. Because Bentley is the only company which has got digital solution for imagine a city. In a city you will have building. We have digital solution for building. In a city you'll have roads. We have digital solution for road. You need water and utilities water, and then the other electrical and utilities we have solution for that, right? And you have communication network, we have solution for that. Then you have rail and transit that goes across, we have solution for that. One of the reasons why we are proactively reaching out to the market to saying that anything to do with infrastructure full life cycle, Bentley would be able to create that skill, provide a solution, and then Bentley education would be able to create a skill onto this. So that's the reason why we are talking to you about creating a learning onto that. And how can we do that? So Bentley education, I will directly go into a slide which talks about not this slide because this has got an audio again. So where do I do it? How do I go it across? Your first step would be into jumping into this website where Bentley Education is an education arm of $800 million sized public limited company Bentley System. Bentley System caters to all the commercial customers like like L&Ts of the world, Aroops of the world, where it is commercially. But then Bentley Education only deals with education market learners and teachers from research to postgraduate to undergraduate to VETs and diploma holders to even school level. So what is the value that is about? You saw all those learning tools that are available. 60 to 65 learning tools of this is offered at absolutely no cost to your students. They can download it onto their laptop, they can download it onto the personal computer and learn it. Okay. It is like I always used to say, it is like giving you a key to a beautiful car, but then if you don't know how to drive, you don't know where the gear is, where the handlebar is, or where the steering is. So not alone we give you the tool, we also have a whole set of learn content that is available, which are used by the commercial customers. We give access to those learn content. So you have a tool, then it tells you how to operate on and gives you some case studies like what you saw here about how they use it across. That learn content available on demand at leisure to student and the learners. And so we give you the tool, we give you the learn content. We also work with you to design the curriculum and then build a project around the curriculum. We talk to our commercial customers and take a data set. Let's say if I saw a couple of people talking from India. So from India, we would talk to larger organizations like Metro Rails or L&Ts and then take a small project and give it to the students so that they can work on a project-based learning. That is possible in every country because Bentley Education is present in every part of the world. So because the performance of it, I don't want to jump into I don't want to click into this and go across. I would very, very humbly request you to jump into this education, this you know, take a copy of this LinkedIn, the website, the URL link, and then visit there, get to see what is available, and then come back to us, and then we can sit down with you and work on to find out how we can make your learning pedagogy and how you can add value to your teaching, and then add value to your students in learning. That's all about this journey onto this, and that's about me. Thank you. If there's any question, I'm more than happy to take it. I know I've gone more than an hour and 15 minutes. Thank you for your patience. Open for questions. I hope I made sense.
Great. Thank you very much, Sri, for the excellent presentation and the explanation. So, if I may leave it to the floor, I think we had a couple of questions. Okay, so based on the chat box, we had one question whereby
Yep.
somebody was talking
There's,
about how Mr. Kamal over here, Kamal Abdul Amir, has asked one question: how digitalization can how can it be implemented in the construction sector in developing Asian countries?
come again. What's the question?
How digitalization can be implemented in the construction sectors in developing Asian countries, developing, Can't hear you, Sri.
Can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
I always used a good question. Thank you for that question. I always used to say, don't try to eat the whole elephant for one meal. You need to eat it in pieces so that you don't choke to death. Specifically relevant for developing countries, I understand. So you could possibly let's say the planning part of it. We could only start with a simple surveying part of the planning as a digitalization and start there, and then over a period of time even developed countries do that. I mean, I work with possibly, me and Narayan work with possibly top 100 ranked universities across Asia Pacific. So even there they don't take the whole education, what I showed you, what is available. They don't jump it onto one part because students will get overwhelmed. So in a developing world you could take, my thought would be, take one part of the life cycle which is relevant to you. It could be planning, it could be design, or it could be construction, or it could be operation. So take one part of it and take one function in. If it is planning, surveying could be just a part of it to start. How do I create a digital survey? And what are the digital tools? What are the best practices? That could be one. Okay, if it is designing, how do I do a 2D designing, 3D designing? Because I also saw a question about CAE and CAD. I'll come back to that answer. So if you can train the students and create a competency on doing a 2D, 3D designing with a bit of an animation so that walkthrough, that could be a start of it, and that excites the students. And then possibly the next semester or next term or whatever you call it, we can, make it a part of the curriculum and then start the digital survey. And then we can start construction safety management could be one. So one of those areas where we could take it on and do a digitalization. In the operation, it could be just remote remote inspection or remote monitoring. That could be our energy efficiency. One of those could be. So the message there is, Kamal, is that ideally to start with the right piece, which you would know what your students would need, you would know what your market would need for the in Australia. Road and rail projects are the biggest money spenders. So, if an institution trains students to become a good designer in road or good construction manager in road project, then the moment he graduates or completes his course, he is into the job. So you would know that, but then take it in small pieces and then over a period of time scale it up would be my approach. Did I, does it make sense?
Yes, Sri, I think perfectly well said.
And
Well,
there was one question from somebody about CAE, and I'm jumping in there, sorry. There was
sure,
one
sure, go ahead.
question from a gentleman about what is the difference between digital twin and CAE is about. CAE is nothing but computer aided engineering, which if you saw one life cycle is an analysis part, CAE helps you to do an analysis. It could be a thermal analysis, it could be a structural analysis, it could be a soil analysis. But the analysis, for an example, if you're doing a structural analysis of to see how structurally strong a car is, you don't take a physical car and take a hammer and hit it on, and to find out how the aluminum metal is strong enough. So it is easier to do it on a digital model of it. You know, structural analysis of a glass bottle, for an example. You want to see from what height I can drop it up to when it breaks on. How many bottles you'll break in the process, and you don't get the data later on. So I'm coming to the answer is that digital twin helps you to create a digital model or digital prototype for you to do a CIE. So digital twin will travel through all the life cycles. CIE is one of those life cycles. CAD they will use to design, and CIE they will use to do an analysis. But then it is easier to design on a digital model, easier to do an analysis on a digital model. So difference between digital twin and CIE is a process to check, and digital twin is a tool on what do you call the whole. It goes through the whole journey. Yeah, I hope it made sense. Yes, Narayan.
Yes, Sri, most certainly, most certainly. So I think ultimately what Sri is trying to share or rather propagate is everything. I mean, I believe in TVET. I think there's a lot of opportunities in TVET where you can start introducing new courses or new curriculum based on what Sri has just shared. So the opportunities or employability opportunities are huge. In the near future, it's already happening right now. So I think TVET industry can relook at how they can add value by introducing new curriculum or new courses, like what he said, inspection, remote inspection, using drones and bringing those drones back and loading those information onto the software. The software produces some results which can be shared along with the users, or so these are the type of people that the companies are looking for. They're looking for people who are familiar with technology, like Bentley. And the positive, a very good move by Bentley is the portal, the Bentley Education portal that Sri has shared. I have also shared the link in the chat box. That particular portal allows you as educators or students for that matter to go in, get registered. You can start downloading those softwares for free and start exploring and start using those softwares. And alongside, we are ready, we are willing to work alongside with CPSC and come up with some programs, or should you need some content curriculum created, we are willing to do that as well. Yeah, so that is something that I really feel and hope that every TVET member over here considers or relook at how things can be done for the near future.
I'm jumping in, Narayan. If there was a question from a gentleman called Faisal. Faisal, if you're still online, I believe you have a curriculum on CAD CAE. So CAD and CAE could be used for manufacturing industry. there are equivalent CAD and equivalent CAE tools that are available for infrastructure industry in the form of building, rail. So one way how you could possibly adopt digitalization is that Bentley has a set of CAD CAE tool. We don't call that a CAD and CAE tool. We call it a design tool and analysis tool for a building or for a soil. For an example, a concrete bridge, a CAE analysis would be to find out about the strength of the concrete and then do a complete analysis using the structural strength of it. And then if there is a crack, when does a fatigue happen and how does the fatigue creep in? So there are CAE tools for infrastructure industry because what you use as a CAE tool for manufacturing industry is more tuned towards manufacturing, not towards infrastructure. So to Faisal, the best way possibly to adopt is that is looking at construction and infrastructure industry. There are CAD tools within the Bentley suite. When you go into the Bentley Learning Portal or Bentley Education Portal, you will see it. Design tool and analysis tool, which are design tool is a CAD tool, analysis tool is a CAE tool. That could be brought in as a curriculum, and that will take care of people who are getting into construction, infrastructure industry. Not for the manufacturing, automotive, or those kind of industry. I hope
Yeah.
my answer makes sense to you, Faisal.
Awesome, Sri. We have another question from Mr. Let me see here. Sorry, these questions are popping in. From Mr. Marwan Awad from Sudan. He has
Yep.
posted a question on what are the benefits and challenges of digitally integrating all this, into education.
Yep. Okay. Is it is the question about challenge of delivery of the education system or
Yeah, I think
deli- or
he's talking about more on,
yeah.
if you integrate the digitization into education, what are the benefits and what are the challenges?
Yep. Mr. Marwan, if you are aiming to send your students to the larger, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 construction companies, they are only looking for digitally trained, people who are trained on digitalization in construction industry. I'm only talking about construction industry infrastructure because Bentley only belongs to infrastructure industry, right? They would only go to institutions like Harvard's or Cambridge or IITs because they have a curriculum that is put across. We believe that this skill has to be democratized to every learning institution. So the distinct advantage would be that your students can possibly not the full length of it, maybe because Cambridge and IITs are 5 years, 6 years course, and your wet course is 1 or 2 years course. But we can capitalize that so that they also have, there is always a saying you have to be in it to win it. If you're not in it, you're not going to win it, right? Even yeah, so this digital integrated courses on construction will at least allow them to be in it, in the competition, in the race for the job, for them to win it across. And we can fine tune that course further so that not they are not alone just in it, they will also win it. So that's the distinct advantage because you 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 want your students to be in the executive cadres and planning cadre rather than just at the manpower cadre of at the technical skill. But then if you bring in digitalization, because that's what the industry looks for. I mean, I actually had a slide, but I cut it off. Is about I've taken a job advertisement from all over the world, from top 20 companies for digital. There were more than 850 jobs at that particular day for digital designers, digital architects, digital planners, digital construction managers. So that's where the job is. And that's where the higher level of, it's not a job, it's a career actually. The job is where you don't involve yourself. Career is where you build it over. So it is definitely needed. As I told you, the advantage is that is you allow the students to be in it so that they can win it. I hope it makes sense.
Yes, Sri. Yes, Sri. I think to add the challenges, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. If you have the IT infrastructure is going to be the challenge in developing countries. So you may have to invest on hardware that can tolerate or support the technology that we have, the tools that we have. So that would be the biggest challenge, and of course, in any case, it's going to be funding of building up this IT infrastructure. So that would be the two biggest challenge that I would see personally in terms of getting digitization integrated into education. I hope we have answered that question, Mr. Marwan Awad from Sudan. Thank you very much for an awesome question. We have one more, Sri, from
Yep.
CP Timsina. Uh, they have the question posted is how we can use the integrated development plan through IR 4.0 in TVET.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Good. IR 4.04 is that is the Industry 4.0. Is all about digitalization. It is all about getting into a digital world rather than analog world and a paper-based world. So, if anyone is following IR, that is Industry 4.0, where the whole learning and the whole skill development has to be on digitalization. I'll give you a very quick story why digitalization is important. Is we talked about data being put across. I told you about 6 years ago I built a house, and then they gave me a set of paper document about who was my electrical contractor, what was the certification done. About 2 years ago I had an electrical breakdown in my house, and all those sheets that were given were irrelevant to me because they were not current data. So Industry 4.0 clearly talks about a term called, I'm sorry to use a jargon, called CDE, that is Common Data Environment, where the data is live and real time. So anyone who's looking for Industry 4.0 in construction industry would look at how much of learning is done on digital processes in the planning. I mean, I will quickly again go through. In the planning, if you build a digital model and the data that is available, you can actually hand over the digital model with the data connectivity to your designer. A designer can add more to that digitally, and then he can hand over that digital model because you're still talking about real-time data to the construction people. And then so the same data is going across rather than creating multiple data on silo. That is what is Industry 4.0. If you remember my graph, I talked about productivity. Manufacturing industry uses that because, as I told you, Boeing, even before they bend the first sheet metal to make a plane, they have a complete digital model of a plane with all the data that is available. And that travels through every part of it, stamping stage, assembly stage, painting stage, all of them, all the manufacturing stage and handed over. So nobody thinks about saying that is the data right or is it old data because everything is current data. So the advantage of the way Industry 4.0 could be adopted is going into a digital processes and allow the learning system to bring in digital processes rather than a typical non-digital process. Do I make sense?
Yes, Sri, most definitely. So I think that is all the questions that we have as of now. I think Mr. Marwan had another question. Yeah, if you can pose those
Sure.
questions, please. Mr. Marwan Awad.
Then what's the question?
I'm just waiting for him to, unless
Sure.
you can even ask us if you want to unmute and, okay, so he has posted a question. What is digital support who in technical to develop the skills needed to get maximum? How can
Okay, I have it.
or who?
How can
Okay,
what is digital support all who are in technical and vocational education to develop the skills that are needed in order to get maximum benefit from using technology? Okay, good question, sir. I think I showed you a video, Mr. Marvin. This is addressed to you. I showed you a video on. I think I'll go more relevant rather than a bridge. Uh, I talked about a telephone tower. There is no country which does not have telephone tower because every country, whether they have 3 meal or not, everyone have a mobile phone in their hand. I'm sure. So, and then you don't have mobile phone without the signaling tower, right? there is a process of how do we maintain the tower is about physically in the olden days people used to climb up and then look at it, the laboriousness of it, the risk in it. So if you can create a set of people who can digitally, okay, the process that is involved is you need somebody to know to fly a drone around the or use a camera to take a picture of the whole the what do you call signaling
Power.
tower, and then get that tower data into a tool from Bentley. When you visit our Bentley education site, you'll get to see a tool called context capture or reality modeling tool, which converts the data into a typical digital model. The solution, the product is so user friendly. I've had school kids using it in year. I mean, 11th, 10th, 10th standard, 11th standard kids using it to create a model of their computers and their football because they don't want to go into into such easy. Then convert that into reality modeling tool. Correct. Into a reality modeling tool, and then that could be just a course for a student about how do I create a digital model. It need not have go into maintenance. One more set of student, how do I use the digital model to do you know a planning of asset management? That could be a second course, second part of the course onto that. So it is about, as I said, don't try to eat the whole elephant in one meal. Break it down to small pieces so that easier to eat. So I hope it made sense.
Yep, yep. Certainly right, Sri. Certainly right. So, anyways, I think if we do not have any questions, we'd like to thank all of you all for your presence and for
And
your
I'm
time.
so happy that all 73, 75 of them still online. I truly
Yeah,
appreciate your patience and your interest on that. Sir. The
and
the the message.
yeah, sorry.
Sorry, Ryan. Yeah, go on.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Sri.
The
Sorry.
message I have to all of you is that about I know the information what I've given you so far, me and Narayan have given you so far. We'll have a lot more questions, and I'm happy that you have a lot more questions because the objective is that is about to get deeper and we are ready to sit with each one of you or 75 people who have attended to find out what you teach now, how can we improve it on within your framework, within the resources what you have, within the student capability. The idea is to create that learning ecosystem in partnership with you and your institution. So do not feel shy. Narayan is available anytime. I'm available anytime. Reach us to us, and then we will sit down. That's how we build relationship with multiple universities and multiple technology institutions across. So there is we could start small to start with,
Yep,
so that you get a comfort and they get a comfort, but then with an idea of scaling up over a period of time. Feel free. This is only introduction session. Feel free to reach out to us, and reach us to CPSC as well, so that
yep,
we can work together to find out and understand what is needed by you and find out whether it is feasible and work on. That's my
A-
message. End of the day.
and Sri, also to add to that,
Yeah, sure.
a very important key point here is Bentley education is not about profits. So we do not look at things on a monetary value. So it's all about how we can add value, complementary. So everything that we do, even whatever that you see on our portal, is all complementary. There's no money involved over here. It's all about learning and building those future infrastructure professionals. And what we're trying to achieve here is trying to get TVET to join in the wagon while it's still on the move right now. With that said, I would like to thank Sri personally. It's late now in Melbourne. Thank you very much, Sri, for your time. Thank you to CPSC.
And I think I should apologize to all the people. I mean, I know it's a pressure meeting the second time within a week, but last time the technical error. Apologies. And second is apologies. My camera couldn't switch on. I don't know why, and so you couldn't get to see me. But then, what is important is not how I look. It is about what I think and what my experience is. And I hope I made it a useful afternoon or useful morning or useful evening to you all. And look forward to working with you much longer.
Yep. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, CPSC. Thank you, Virgil and Professor Vikram Singha. Look forward. Should you guys have any questions at all, you can still post it to CPSE and they can then forward it to us. I will be more than happy to answer those questions. Again, thank you very much. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
That, yeah, likewise. Everyone enjoy this season greeting from us. Have a wonderful 2022. So thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Wish you your next seminar and we learn many things and new things in new millennium.
Thank you, sir. I'm so delighted that. Thank you, Mr. Nasrullah.
Nazrul.
Truly appreciate
Yes,
it.
Nazrul from Bangladesh. Keeping me in your task because I am doing my PhD in
Wow.
TVET
Okay.
governance in India.
Absolute pleasure, Mr. Nasrullah, and look forward to working with you, sir. Feel free to come back to us anytime.
Okay. Kindly share your personal email in your chat box that I will collect and I will communicate you.
Lovely. Yep.
Sure.
Thanks.
I can possibly put
Thanks. Good
my
afternoon.
Narayan, give my email ID to on the chat box so that
Sure.
people can grab it, yours and mine, so that if they have any. And I think this session is recorded as well, so the final slide has my email ID. So when you get a chance, you can grab it as well. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
If Mr. Virgil is still there, Mr. Virgil, thanks for your patience and appreciate the opportunity.
Yes. Thanks, Virgil.
Thanks. Thank you, everyone. And see you in the next webinar.
Absolutely, sir. And thank you, Virgil. Have a wonderful Christmas and
welcome. Yes.
A splendid 2022.
Yeah. Stay safe, Sri and Narain. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. I'm dropping out.
Okay, I'm dropping out too, man. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Bye.